everybody, I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Regina Wilson, a firefighter with the FDNY. Regina, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You were only the 12th African American woman to join the FDNY when you entered the force back in 1999.
Yes.
So to start the conversation, why did you want to become a firefighter?
Well, I didn't. So I was actually recruited at the Black Expo at the Jacob Javits Center. I had just gotten out of school, and so when you get out of college, you're looking for a corporate path, and so that's what I did. But I was recruited by a recruiter with the fire department who were looking for people to take the firefighters exam. And so I was intrigued, but I wasn't convinced. They said it wasn't a lot of African American and women, and so I thought, why would they not take this opportunity, such as a great profession to be in? And so I wasn't quite convinced, but some of the other affinity groups within the fire department convinced me to do it.
What are some of those biggest challenges then? Because you are a woman, you are a Black woman in a really male-dominated field. So what are those challenges you face?
The challenges are adapting to the culture, realizing the environment you're in. It's especially for women, you're now in a frat house type of mentality where there's a lot of hazing that goes on, and just being in a firehouse that's filled on a staff, for me, sometimes 11 at a time, and I'm the only woman every day. So I'm the only woman in my firehouse, and most women are independently in firehouses by themselves. So it was just really difficult to come from a corporate culture where it's more diverse and it was more people that look like me than to be the single entity in a house that's full of white males.
What's it like being the only Black woman in that field, in that house? What is that like for you?
Well, I always bring my true, authentic self to work, so I have difficulties with some people in the firehouses who don't always are around a lot of Black people, so don't understand who we are, what we represent, and some of their stereotypes comes from watching TVs and movies. And so learning and helping them to understand who I am, what the culture is, and what I have to bring is what keeps me motivated and to keep me around, and to also know that I have something to give, not only as a person of color, but as a woman to the fire department of New York.
My grandfather was the battalion chief of the Philadelphia Fire Department, and he said it felt like he never worked a day in his life. He loved the job, and he said all of his brothers in the fire department felt that way too.
Yes.
What's your favorite part of the job then?
My favorite part of the job is serving the community and having the opportunity to go out into the streets and allow people to see me, especially as a woman of color, on the fire engine, and for them to see that this is possible and it's an opportunity for them. And to also, most of us, we're behind the yellow line when there's emergencies and tragedies. I'm on the other side, being able to have hands-on access, to be able to reach down and touch, and to be able to help people in their darkest moments. So it's really a proud moment for me to be able to serve the community in that way. That's what I love more about the job.
Do you have one story specifically where you were serving your community, your favorite story perhaps, of being on the job for over 20 years?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that is more touching me with serving the community is dealing with women who may be going through false labors or dealing with giving birth, and sometimes the intimacy of having males around you at that time gives them uncomfortability. So to be able to step in as a woman and be able to relate and to give them that part of me and that calmness and that relatability really helps out when we're serving the community in that way. So I think dealing more with women and helping women in their issues is what works for me.
One of those themes today is really women stepping into their power. How do you feel like you did that over 20 years ago when you joined the force, and how do you feel like you do that every single day when you're on the job?
Well, stepping into my power, I think, happened when I got out of probationary firefighter school. I went through a rigorous 18-week course that made a difference for me in understanding as a woman that I could conquer anything. But it also showed that women belong in the fire service. And it helped me also to solidify the fact that we as women can do anything. If I can go from wearing corporate clothes and wearing heels and dealing with a lot of different paperwork to now cutting roofs and breaking doors, I know that there's a level of mental power that we have as women as well as physical.
There aren't that many women firefighters. How do you think the FDNY would be better served if there was more representation?
Well, I always say that the FDNY is a good department. It's not great. It's great when they really understand that diversity is everything. And we are the ones that have different cultures and backgrounds and religions and beliefs that enhance a department that sometimes does not give anything that's different, because the job is 76% white. So I think that until the job really goes and court women and help them to understand within themselves that they're strong mentally and physically to do this job, and they seriously do it by also making accommodations for them, making bathrooms for them to use and locker spaces, and really embrace women coming onto this job, we're going to continue to be a good department, and then hopefully one day we'll be great.
From what you're saying in this conversation, it sounds like you really want to embrace women in the department, embrace women firefighters. How exactly are you lifting up this incoming generation of female firefighters?
Well, the United Women Firefighters Association, as well as the Vulcan Society, which is the affinity group of Black firefighters, EMTs, and inspectors, we are courting. So we're going to women, and you have to peel back these different layers as an onion to help to get to the root of letting them understand their power and owning it. So since I was able to do that 24 years ago when I crossed the stage, all of those feelings and those understandings of what it is to be able to get to that power source, I'm now able to give that, as well as the United Women Firefighters. So we have to make a concerted effort to make sure that we're investing our time to let them know that they can do it.
What's that advice you're imparting on women then that you wish someone told you 24 years ago? Because obviously the times have changed. It's been over 2 decades. What's that thing you really want to tell people now?
That I think the thing that I want to tell women and also people of color is that this is a great opportunity. We work 2 days a week, 8 days a month. They can make over $100,000 in 5 years. You can come out of poverty into middle class. You can be able to still be able to do some of your heart desires and dreams and goals outside of working in the fire department of New York. And it just gives you a lot of great flexibility. It gives you a lot of different benefits to it. And I feel like the community and the city as a whole, especially women and people of color, do not know the advantages. And think about it. We deal with a lot of nepotism on this job. And if this job was not a good job, why would they let their nephews, their sons, their next door neighbors come and get this job, or drive an hour and a half to get to work in Bed-Stuy, East New York, if there wasn't gold on the other side of the rainbow?
Regina, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem at all. Thank you so much for having me.